back again. There's no way Hasim can beat me twice.
So you do have a rematch clause in your contract, and you do want the rematch.
Definitely want the rematch. You know, I felt good after I got up. I thought I beat the count, but you know, the referee felt that the fight should have been stopped. But you know, Hasim Rahman's the champion today.
It's my understanding that in your contract he can fight one more fight before taking the rematch. Is that correct, as you understand it?
No, well, I don't know about that, but I definitely know there's a rematch clause, and you know, the second time around, Hasim Rahman is going to be down.
Thank you very much, champ.
Thank you.
Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Larry. And just momentarily on camera, before I get a chance to talk with George Foreman, let me reestablish this. James Braddock beating Max Baer back in the 1930s. Cassius Clay beating Sonny Liston in Miami Beach, May 25, 1964. Mike Tyson losing to Buster Douglas in Tokyo, February 10, 1990. And now this, Hasim Rahman with a single shot right hand, flooring and freezing Lennox Lewis to score one of the 4 biggest upsets in the history of the heavyweight division and win the heavyweight crown. And George Foreman, what kind of a champion is Hasim Rahman going to be? He's a delightful guy.
He's wiped my slate clean from what happened to me in Africa. Now they'll be talking about what happened to Lewis. Rahman, he was determined. He got in there. He should have lost confidence, but he kept throwing shots. And we have a new heavyweight champion. I love it.
Ironically, Mike Tyson, for months, his people have talked about Rahman as a possible future opponent for Tyson as Tyson builds and tries to get ready to fight Lewis. Now the idea of Rahman Tyson takes on a whole different meaning, doesn't it?
He's no opponent anymore. He's the heavyweight champion of the world.
A brilliant performance by The Rock, who, Larry Merchant, you and several other critics pointed out how lackadaisically Lewis trained and prepared for the fight. There was nothing in the last week to indicate that he was that much more serious about it than he had been, being back in Las Vegas April 6, April 5, shooting a movie while Rahman was down here training. You could see the casualness from minute 1 on the ring.
You make a fighter a serious opponent if you don't take him seriously. And that's what happened here tonight. A lot of people saw it coming but couldn't believe that Hasim Rahman would be the one that was executed. You asked me the question earlier tonight, can he raise his game enough if he's being taken lightly? Well, he raised that right hand a couple of times, and so what happened was we got a return to the theater of the unexpected in boxing.
And Lewis gets a reminder of what happened to him against Oliver McCall September 24, 1994 at the Wembley Conference Center in London. The previous time that he walked into a big right hand and had to try to make explanations after. Let's take a look now once again at round 5, at all of the 5th round action in real time, and once again chart the progress of the developments that led to the big knockout. And George, while Lewis was landing here, I was getting ready to ask you as round 5 progressed, does he walk around with his hands at his waist because he wants to invite the opponent to try to hit him upstairs, or is it just because he's being lazy in there?
All of the above. All the above. You know, I've often said, when it all boils down, the small heavyweights always reap the benefit. This is not a big, tall man sport. You can reign for a bit, but it's always going to be a 6-1er, a 2er, a 1er, and a 2er who's going to take these boxing matches, these title matches. And as you can see, the Rock man, small, 6'2", but the right hand goes right in there in the middle of that big man.
Well, 6'2" and 237 is not what...
Not tiny.
Not tiny.
It's Joe Lewis's height.
Yeah, you know, but...
Height. Joe Lewis's height.
This is the second
time. The meek shall inherit the boxing world.
This is the second time there's been a major heavyweight championship fight in Africa. The second time there's been an upset.
Uh-oh, Larry, you went there anyway. But I love it. I'm happy to be a part of this
that
one.
Among the 4 big upsets that I now rank at the top of the heavyweight division, but that was an upset too.
It's always one of the great events in all of sports when you get a change in the heavyweight championship. And when you get an outright underdog, a fighter most people thought was
That was
mismatched.
the first big right hand right there. And you can see Lewis smiling, and George, that always means...
I'm hurt.
That's why I'm grinning at you.
Whistling through the graveyard.
Now watch Lewis back over toward the ropes, and Rock comes in and fires the one big right hand shot. about 15, 20, 30 seconds down the road from here. And as Lewis goes down, we don't really know yet. So let's check and be sure. Did he get stopped by the referee without a completion of the count because of his condition on the canvas, or did the count actually reach 10? It was hard to tell in the bedlam that took place in the ring.
Lewis's left hand is right there on his hip, carrying it so low. Why not be knocked out?
When you
Now we've got the referee, Mr. Vanderwielen, over here to the side. Tell me this, was there a completed count here?
Yes, it was a completed count. He was out when he hit the floor, completely out. And
So
it was
you make it
instant.
all the way to 10 on this count?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our videotape stopped before we saw the full completion of 9 to 10. But you're saying the count was fully complete.
Yes, I did the completely count. He hit the floor and he was completely out. It was an instinct that he wanted to get up, but he was still out.
So officially it's KO, not TKO.
Yes. That's
Thank you, Mr. Vanderwielen. All right. So there you have it. Officially a knockout, not a technical knockout for Hasim Rahman over Lennox Lewis. That differentiates it, incidentally, from Lewis's previous loss to McCall, where he got up at the count of 6, but then was not allowed to continue in the fight by that referee, a fellow named Lupe Garcia from Mexico. Technical difficulties did not allow us to show the conclusion of the count. Now we're going to show it to you, so let's watch and see if we can pick up the 10 count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well,
Jim,
he had
you
his
started
hands on
counting a
Lennox.
little late. The count
I late?
start. As soon as
Okay.
he hit the canvas, the count start.
Okay, so you're confirming that?
Yeah,
you see
he
it
was
as-
down, and not only was he down, it was a merciful stoppage also.
Well, I don't think he would have been able to continue in the fight anyway after taking a
Larry
shot
was
like
shot.
that.
I got to admit, it's the first time I've set a song aside Larry Merchant, and he was shot.
Did Larry beat the count?
I can't believe it. Larry.
What a night. What a night in South Africa. As the new darling of South Africa, Baltimore, Maryland's Hasim Rahman becomes the heavyweight champion of the world. You got a final postscript on this, LM?
Yeah, there used to be a time when the media would trail the heavyweight champion around the world, much like the media would trail a United States president around the world, even if he was off to some formal meeting somewhere, just in case something happened.
So how many media were here?
No American boxing writer I know of came to South Africa to see this, assuming, as many people did, that it was a mismatch.
No American boxing writer. The Baltimore Sun didn't send a writer?
The Baltimore Sun sent a writer to cover a hometown boy. There were 3 correspondents from New York Times, Boston Globe, Washington Post, who normally cover political affairs in South Africa. But be that as it may, there's something exhilarating about a moment like this when you hear all of the speculation, all of the months past about this fight happening or that fight happening, and some young guy comes along and shoots holes through all of those plans. And just remember, we've been saying for some time, Jim, that all of the recognized heavyweights were well into the 30s. Lennox Lewis, 35 years old. How many times can you go to the well? How many times can you get yourself in absolute peak condition? Sooner or later, some young guy, some ambitious guy was going to land a big punch on a veteran heavyweight. It was later, and it was tonight.
All those boxing journalists back in the States can surely appreciate if you had been here this week, if you were on the inside of this event, if you knew what was going on at some point, regardless of how much you believed in Lewis, and I've always been a big Lewis believer, at some point you said to yourself, Tokyo felt a little bit like this. Right now, it feels every bit like Tokyo. We'll have a final word on what happened here in the ring in just a moment. Let's look ahead to some upcoming programs on HBO.